Howdy y'all, Jackson here with Trick Studios, and with the 2018-2019 NCAA season coming to a close, and the 4-team college football playoff still in place, it's time for another edition of the 8-team college football playoff. With this edition, we have the number 1 undefeated defending national champion and SEC champion Alabama Crimson Tide, the number 2 undefeated ACC champion Clemson Tigers, the number 3 undefeated Notre Dame Fighting Irish, with a major independent takes the place of the Pac-12 champion Washington, who finished outside of an at-large bid. The number 4, 12-1 Big 12 champion Oklahoma Sooners, who just avenged their sole loss to Texas in the newly reinstated Big 12 championship game. The number 5, 11-2 Georgia Bulldogs out of the SEC, who just suffered a soul-crushing loss to number 1 Alabama in the SEC championship game. Number 6, 12-1 Big 10 champion Ohio State Buckeyes, whose sole loss came in a blowout fashion against 6-6 Purdue, but looked to close out Coach Urban Meyer's final season with a national championship victory. Number 7, 10-2 Michigan Wolverines out of the Big 10, whose 2 losses came against fellow college football playoff representatives Notre Dame and Ohio State. And finally, number 8, undefeated AAC Champion UCF Knights, who bring a 25-game win streak, but will be led by backup quarterback Darriel Mack Jr. as starter McKenzie Milton suffered a devastating knee injury in the regular season finale. The battle for the national championship begins now. We kick things off in the Citrus Bowl as the number 1 defending college football playoff national champion Alabama Crimson Tide take on the number 8 defending College Matrix national champion UCF Knights, which will have the opportunity to fight for another. Believe it or not, it's Central Florida who starts the scoring, as Darriel Mack Jr. hits Dredrick Snelson, who shed the tackle and gets in for 6. On their next drive, they would add a field goal. Down 10 early, Alabama looks to get back in it, but Tua Tagovailoa's pass is picked off by Kyle Gibson and returned inside the Bama 15. The Knights would capitalize as Adrian Killings finds his way into the end zone to go up by 17. Midway through the second, Killings would power his way in for another score and stun the Tide as the Knights go up 24. Alabama finally finds some points as Tagovailoa finds a wide-open Jerry Jeudy for a 60-yard score. They would then tack on a 2-point conversion with this pass to Devontae Smith to cut into the Knights' lead. And as the half was coming to a close, they would add this field goal. After a hit with sideline Tagovailoa on their first offensive snap of the second half, former starter Jalen Hurts would march the Tide down the field for this score. UCF would then respond with a long drive of their own, ending in this field goal. They would then hold tight on defense and add another midway through the fourth, and finally hit another as time was winding down to claim the greatest upset of the year and extend their win streak to 26. UCF upsets Alabama 33-16 to punch their ticket to the Orange Bowl. We now find ourselves at the Independence Bowl as the number 2 Clemson Tigers take on the number 7 Michigan Wolverines. The Wolverines would start the scoring halfway through the first with this field goal. They would then add another as the quarter came to an end. As the second quarter starts, Trevor Lawrence would look right, but his pass would be picked off by David Long and returned for the first touchdown of the day. Clemson would, however, find points at the end of the half with his field goal. Late in the third, Lawrence would scramble his way into the end zone on a rollout to cut the Michigan lead to 3. Michigan would respond quickly as Shea Patterson would hit Grant Perry for a 28-yard score. Midway through the fourth, Patterson would hit Perry again to go up by 17. Clemson would respond as Lawrence would hit Travis Etienne for his 12-yard score. But it would be too little too late as Michigan pulled the upset, 30-17, to advance to the Cotton Bowl. We now head to the Liberty Bowl as the number 3 Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on the number 6 Ohio State Buckeyes. K.J. Hill would start the scoring as Dwayne Haskins would get the pitch out to him on this option. They would then add this field goal on their next drive. On Notre Dame's ensuing drive, Ian Brooks would throw across his body and be picked off by Baron Browning and returned for a touchdown. They would then add another field goal before the first quarter ended. After a quick defensive stop, they would add another early in the second. Notre Dame would then add one of their own. As the half came to a close, Haskins would find Paris Campbell over the middle to go up 27. The game would never get close, and the Buckeyes cruised to a 42-6 win to advance to the Cotton Bowl to face heated rival Michigan. We now head to the Holiday Bowl as number 4 Oklahoma Sooners face off against the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs. Oklahoma would start the scoring in the first with this field goal. They would then add another on their next drive. Georgia would finally answer with one of their own at the start of the second. Oklahoma would then add another of their own. Georgia, however, would get the last laugh heading into halftime, as first Jake Fromm would take this read option into the end zone to take a 1-point lead. And then after an immediate turnover by the Sooners, DeAndre Swift would make it an 8-point lead, but Oklahoma would cut it down to 5 after quickly moving the ball in the field goal range. Late in the third, Oklahoma would find the end zone for the first time today, as Kyler Murray would scramble in for the score. Murray would then hit Nick Baskin for a 2-point conversion to go up 3. But Georgia would quickly tie things up. Early in the fourth, Oklahoma would retake the lead with yet another field goal. Georgia, however, would retie the game with one of their own. Oklahoma would once again break the tie, this time with a touchdown, as Kyler Murray would once again find the end zone. They would add another field goal late as they win it 33-23 to advance to the Orange Bowl against undefeated UCF. We now skip forward a week to the Orange Bowl, as number 4 Oklahoma takes on number 8 Central Florida. Oklahoma starts the scoring in the first as Kyler Murray takes his read option in for 6. UCF would respond with a field goal. Kyler Murray would respond right back though, hitting a wide open Marquise Brown for a 42-yard score. And they would add a field goal of their own as the first quarter was coming to a close. Even though Kyler Murray would be knocked out of the game until midway through the fourth, it would not slow the Sooner offense, as Austin Kendall finds Miles Tees over the middle for a 13-yard score. Central Florida would then add another field goal. Austin Kendall would respond though, finding the end zone himself. UCF would then finally find the end zone as Adrian Killings powers himself in for a 6-yard score. Austin Kendall's last pass would be a good one, as he finds Marquise Brown for a 28-yard score, before Kyler Murray would be reinstated on the next drive. The game does not get close, and the Sooners sail to a 45-13 victory to advance to the national championship game. We now head west to Arlington, Texas, and the Cotton Bowl, as we have a rematch of the game, as number 6 Ohio State takes on number 7 Michigan. Michigan would start the scoring early in the first, as Shea Patterson would find an open Zach Gentry, who would then find the end zone. Ohio State and J.K. Dobbins would quickly knot things up though, as he takes a handoff right up the middle for a 62-yard score. J.K. Dobbins would then put the Buckeyes up with this 3-yard score late in the first. Michigan would respond with a field goal as the quarter came to a close. And Ohio State would add one of their own early in the second. Michigan would then tie things up as Patterson once again found Gentry. But Ohio State would then break the tie as Dwayne Haskins takes his read option in for the 1-yard score. After a quick defensive stop, the Buckeyes look for the kill heading into the half. But Haskins' pass is picked off by David Long and returns 62 yards to tie things up at 24 heading into halftime. Michigan would take that momentum in the second half as Patterson would find Donovan Peoples-Jones to take the lead. Then as Ohio State is looking to tie things up, Josh Metellus would pick off this Haskins option pitch and take it to the house. They would then extend their lead to 21 on this Chris Evans run. And Ohio State never recovers as Michigan returns the favor, and then some, in Urban Meyer's final game as Buckeyes head coach, and punching their ticket to the national title game. We now find ourselves another week into the future, and in Berkeley, California, as Levi Stadium is too new to be in this game, as the number 4 Oklahoma Sooners take on the number 7 Michigan Wolverines. Michigan would start the scoring with this field goal. And Oklahoma would respond with one of their own. And another one. And another one. And another one. And another one. And the game lives up to its name, as all 18 points were scored by the foot, as Oklahoma clinches the 8-team college football playoff national championship 15-3 over Michigan. Thank you all for watching. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video, a dislike if you didn't, or your team lost, or you hate my voice. Please keep in mind all games are simulated out once and only once, and those were the results showcased here. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing for some more football content, as well as some film reviews and occasional political videos, but remember, those are optional. Anyway, the next episode of the historic college football playoff will be the 1991 to 1992 season, but after that, I'm out of base roster video games, and will have the ability to hop around, so hit me with some ideas of years you'd like to see, though I already have a suggestion for the 1984 season, and that will probably be the first one done. Anyways, again, thank you for watching. Bye.